Was City naive? Should they have been strengthening in the summer? Is Pep right to sort of say he got it wrong?
I think it's with Pep. That might not actually be what's happened. He kind of likes to take the blame and take responsibility for things, even things that might not necessarily be true or his fault. So I wouldn't fully believe that. It's always easy to look back at these things with hindsight and say this should be done, that should be done. The fact is they didn't do it, and there were obviously reasons at the time for not doing it. Pep's obviously, if it is him, has got enough credit in the bank where if he makes a decision, everyone around him is going to say, okay, Pep, that's fine, we'll do that. I'm just thinking back to when they won the treble. Ali mentions there about strengthening when you're on top. When they won the treble, who did that? Did they massively bring anyone in off the back of that? Mahrez ended up going, didn't he? Yeah, I suppose Docker said that, yeah, they did strengthen. I think the problem this summer is, or the summer, sorry, that's just gone, the summer that we left behind, is it wasn't that they didn't strengthen because they brought Savinho in. You know, they did bring someone in. They didn't replace Alvarez. I think that's a big problem. And they still didn't rectify. Calvin Phillips ended up departing. He was always supposed to be the alternative.
Didn't Kovacic to get there? That was the year before as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the year before.
Yeah.
So,
that was our
so they did strengthen after the treble, in fairness. But obviously they lost Gundogan. But it's that Rodri supplement / replacement that they haven't done. That's what cost them. You can't legislate for Rodri being out for a whole. You can't legislate for Rodri being out for an entire season, can you? Your best player, he is the best player in world football in terms of winning the Ballon d'Or. So that they've suffered because of that. But I think not replacing Alvarez was the thing that surprised me the most. Obviously, it looks like they're now gonna replace him with Marmoush, who I've been talking about this morning, who has been the best player in the Bundesliga so far this season, absolutely electric, and he will be Alvarez's replacement. You could argue that the players have let Pep down a little bit, couldn't you really? Because he's backed them and said, we'll go again with this group, I believe in this group, but they've flattered to deceive and haven't really turned up when they've needed to in the big moments this season. In fact, unlike them, they've actually floundered, haven't they?
They have. I do think they were naive, Dan. I do think what it is they had a few players that were teetering on the edge of decline, and what he's gambled on doing is assuming that these players will still be at the required level this year. And listen, that bar is high. That bar of like what City are and what they do and how consistent they are is really high. So even that 10 to 20 to 30% drop off in these types of players is huge for them. So I'm talking about, Ederson was close to leaving.
Yeah.
You've squeezed a little bit more blood out of that stone. De Bruyne was close to leaving, talking about Saudi, is that you've squeezed a bit more out of that. He's picking up more and more injuries, and let's look at him now. He doesn't look the same. Will still contribute with goals and assists because he's been that good, but looks way off it. Kyle Walker, we saw pretty much from the Euros, and we'll talk a bit more in depth about Kyle Walker in a minute, but you could see a bit of a decline in there. Bringing back Gundogan at that time.
I can see why they did that.
Yeah, on a free, but okay, but it hasn't worked.
No.
He looks like he's faded. You've lost, like you say, Rodri. There's no
If Rodri's there, though, these players aren't having the struggle.
I think there's too much. I know how important he is. I understand how important he is, but it isn't just because Rodri's not there. It's not. Because the whole back four as well have had injuries is a big part of it.
Yeah,
if they would have only just lost Rodri, it wouldn't be this bad. No chance. It's that at times they've had no back four or no players. Stones, Ake, Diaz, Akanji. Who else? Even young Rico Lewis has had time out. Oscar Bob was looking promising.
That's a bad one.
Do you know what I mean?
In the number 10 position, I think the plan, after Foden was excellent last year, I think the plan would have been
Foden's form's gone.
We're going to get Foden in the number 10.
Year.
Yeah, he's fell off a cliff. But as I said to you earlier, I think there's something in the players that were away with England in the summer. No one's come back other than Saka and Palmer, who Saka's now injured, and hit the ground running in the Premier League in the first half of the season. So I think the plan would have been to play Foden there. His form's not been there at all. I think a lot was maybe expected of Grealish. He'd had a good pre-season, but again, injuries again just keep killing him.
And not just injured, just
Oscar Bobby's honestly, Pep had put a lot on him. He had a really good pre-season. He had a good season last season as well in terms of when he did play. He was productive. Yeah. The plan was to play him. He got injured on the eve of the season. He's not been seen again since. So every team gets things like this. No one's going to feel sorry for Manchester City.
No.
But a lot has actually happened.
Yeah, and a lot's gone wrong. That's what I mean. The amount of injuries they've had, and then plus the players that you would put your hat on to do well.
Haaland's been nowhere near it.
Exactly, and he's still top goal scorer. Oh no, Salah isn't.
Only because at the start he had was incredible.
Exactly. He's gone on a barren spell. Where's Bernardo Silva been? Where's Phil Foden been? Where's Jeremy Doku been? Do you know what I mean? Savinho is his first season, started off really well. Then he has a period of not doing too well.
Good
and now,
recent
weeks, he's done all right. So the inconsistency with players that you think would be consistent, coupled with injury, coupled with bad planning in the summer, has led Manchester City to this. Let's talk Kyle Walker, because he has said, according to Pep Guardiola, he wants to leave. Are you surprised at that? Is it the right time now for him? Are you seeing a decline where he's not the same Kyle Walker, and it is time?
Well, he tried to leave a year and a half ago, didn't he? He wanted to go to Bayern Munich, but they talked him round, and Pep managed to persuade him to stay. Been a struggle for him this season, physically probably not in the condition that he has been in previous years. Obviously got stuff going on in his personal life, and whether he brought it on himself or not, it's never nice for people to have stuff going on in their personal life. I'm never gonna bash someone for things like that. He obviously needs to get away for himself, for his family, and maybe for the good of his career at this point, because he's floundered big time this season for Manchester City and has caused them actually a few problems in their back line. A few Januaries ago, Pep lost Cancelo, maybe a little bit unexpected. I liken this to that a little bit. But when he lost Cancelo, he managed to come up with a system and a way of playing almost without fullbacks that works, and they went on and won the treble. Now, that's not going to happen this season, obviously, because they're not going to win the league, Manchester City. But Walker going, he needs to find a solution to sort out his back line. I still think most of the problems for Man City have come from the midfield area this season, obviously with Rodri being out, and at times they've been so easy to play through, and they've just lacked any form of mobility. There's no mobility in there at all. A few players seem to have lost a yard of pace at the same time. And again, Pep wouldn't have known at the start of the season, they're all going to lose a yard of pace at the same time. Easy for me to say.
Which is why it's naive.
Yeah.
Because he's saying I made the decision not to, but he said, I know we got players post-30 and stuff like that, but
you can't just think a season's going to start and bang, then no, people can't run anymore.
No,
you're not going to know that's going to happen.
The way it's panned out, that's why he's saying that decision was wrong, because look where they are.
It's wrong,
so he's made a mistake. But his first mistake in ages, the first we've seen him like this in his whole career. Going 1 in 11 it was? I think it was. It got to. How bad it got? 1 in 11?
Yeah, something like that.
Was it 1 in 13? I think it was 1 in 11, but form that we have
something that's never happened,
never seen. Not Man City in his career. We just haven't seen it, so he couldn't have foreseen that. But I think he's right to assess it now and say, where did I go wrong? In the summer, I thought these lot would be all right, and they ain't. And then obviously the injuries, that's just a different ball game. But Kyle Walker, I mean, listen, this guy's got 6 Premier Leagues. What's he got? 2 FA Cups. 1 Champions League, 4 League Cups. Is he the best right back we've seen in the Premier League?
You're going to like this. It would take a lot for me to overturn Gary Neville as the best Premier League right back for what he did. Walker's next. He's definitely in the top 2.
Do you know what it is? Gary Neville does this all the time, where he plays down.
I can't move Gary Neville. I think Gary Neville was class.
He was. But as a player with
football's changed, hasn't it?
Football's
changed.
It has. And Gary Neville always says it, that if he was a right back now,
he wouldn't play. He wouldn't be able to play.
Do you know what I mean? But you can't take away what he's done.
No.
And how many titles he's won. So the longevity aspect is there for Gary Neville. But in terms of a player and a specimen of a player, an athlete, I mean, Walker doing things that you go, what? How's he got back there? Like what? Yeah. And actually, up until really this season, maybe back in the last season, we're going, when's this guy going to slow down? Like he shouldn't be like for England. He's like, we can go play a high line. He'll bail out anyone. That's why the whole Trent thing up until now, I understand, has been like, for me, you play Kyle Walker, mate, because he will lock down. And if you want to put Vinicius out there, if you want to put Mbappe out there in the World Cup final, whatever it is, and you could say it's defence-minded first, but he will lock down anyone.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, he's in a decline. But I've not seen somebody with the type of recovery pace and strength and athleticism that he had at right back, and consistency. But when Trent started to change what a right back even is, we're now moving into a different generation of football. So, yeah, he's definitely one of the best, isn't he? Really.
I mean, I watched him play. He played half a season at Villa early on in his career, so I would have watched him play every week for half a season when he was a youngster. We pulled him in on loan from Tottenham, and he was, even then, like he was a different type of right back then, because obviously he didn't have the defensive attributes because he was learning the game, but God, he was quick. I just remember how quick he was, and we weren't very good at that point either. And he came in and helped move us up the league. He's definitely in the top two. Right, it was a really bad season for him to start the "You'll Never Beat Kyle Walker" podcast. Though. Yeah, that's not worked.
Yeah, that's not. But
it's almost jinxed himself.
Yeah, but planning for the future, innit? On the way down, start getting the media career going, start planning ahead of time.
Yeah, well,
which now it looks about right.
It's funny. It's funny that
you have more time as that.
It's funny that you say that like Gary Neville wouldn't be able to play now, and like you say, Gary Neville says it himself. If Gary Neville was playing now, he wouldn't have gone on to have the punditry career he'd had either. He'd be doing the punditry on the National League, wouldn't he? Really, because I think that's probably where he would be playing. But still, for me, the best Premier League right back.